Okay, I'm live. This is a new toy for me, so I'm learning. It'll get better as we go along. Actually, I'm going to make dinner, but many of you have asked me, how good is cleanup? How easy is it to clean up? Well, I'm going to show you how easy it is at this point in time, because I usually always do this before I actually start cooking. I'm going to take 4 to 5 bottles of water, and I'm going to heat them on my Oster single solid burner so that you can actually see what it is that I do. And then when we're done with it, I'm going to take the hot water and I'm going to place it into my Rubbermaid tub so that when I'm through with all of my cooking, and as I'm cooking, I can actually put the dishes over there to be done. And I typically keep either Clorox clean wipes or baby wipes to clean things out, because they have a bit of soap in them. That way all I'm doing is really rinsing the dishes in the water and setting them aside on my towelette that I've set aside to put the dishes onto once they're dry. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, I'm going to move these bottles over here so that really all I've got to unstrap my Oster cooker here. So strap it down whenever I'm driving so it doesn't slide all over the place. So bring it over here. And this is the Oster cooker that I got at Walmart for about 20 bucks, and it works really well on a 1200 watt to 1500 watt inverter. The inverter that I have on board with me now is called a modified sine wave. I normally would use a new wave cooktop, but the modified sine wave won't work with it because it needs pure sine wave. Let's get it plugged in here. And we're going to turn it on high. Now my lorry may start, or like the okay, we were interrupted there for a minute. Okay, I'm actually got a New Wave saucepan that I got from New Wave. I'm going to set the lid aside, and I'm going to take my bottles of water and I'm going to pour them in there and heat them. I'm going to heat them to boiling point so that by the time I get through cooking, the water will be cooled down enough so that I can actually put my hands in it and rinse the dishes off. Save the bottle, because you're going to pour the rinse water back into the bottle so that you can actually throw it away in a trash bin. Keeps everything a bit clean. Well, cleaner anyway. So I'm going to put 4 bottles of this in there. Like I said, set those aside. And this is basically for your rinse water for your dishes, that's it. You don't need a lot because you're basically rinsing them off, and so you don't need a lot in the bottom of the pan, or the bucket should I say. Alright, and I'm going to actually add a little bit of salt to it. It won't hurt it, it'll help it boil faster. Well, you know, Chef, it might help if you turn it round so it'll come out. Alright. It's not going to hurt your dishes at all, so... Right, we'll place a lid on that. Now, I'm actually going to be making a chicken breast tonight that has some of my raspberry vinaigrette that I made recently before I left home. There's a lot of times you can actually make sauces and typically a lot of snacks before you leave home. And while that heats up, we're going to prepare our chicken for what we're going to do. I'm going to place it into a bowl, and much like this one, I have a chicken that I had in my freezer because I have an onboard refrigerator. But if you don't have an onboard refrigerator, that's alright. I mean, chicken will stay good in a cool box for about 3 days, so without going all slimy and icky. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to slide this back so that I've got a workspace here. I've actually taken, my workspace here is actually a cutting board that I got at Walmart. It fits, and I'm an International Pro Star, by the way. I've been inside a Freightliner, it's a bit more tight, but it could be done in there as well. So let's do this. Before I do that, I've got to use some, because I've touched some other things, I don't want the icky on my products. I use some Perel here, get my hands nice and clean. Concentrate, it won't get on the food. But take it out of the baggie, and I'm going to place it into the bowl here with some of my vinaigrette so that it sautés a bit, you know, soaks a bit, marinates, not sautés, marinates. No heat there. Okay. And I have a trash bin down here as well to place the trash into as you go along. Now, I have this in here, chicken's in here. I'm going to place some sea salt over it, just a little bit, not a lot, because you don't need a lot for flavor. You know, you don't typically want. I'm going to put some basil on top of that, and typically what you want to do is let the flavors soak in. I'm going to take some coriander seeds, and coriander is actually cilantro, and these are little beads, as you can see, that you kind of sort of crush together and set in there, and let that flavor, and you toss it about here, and you let that flavor get into the meat while you're sitting there for a bit. I'm going to set this aside. Now, I'm going to have asparagus with my dinner tonight, so typically a trucker's portion is about 4 to 5 little stalks of asparagus. We're going to cut it into smaller pieces so that it's not so hard to bite into. Get my cutting utensil here. I have all my utensils back here. And what do you want to bet? I don't have that up here. Gotta love that. Oh, there we are. I use scissors to cut mine sometimes. You're going to typically cut them into smaller pieces so it's not so hard for you to bite into them. And you're going to place them back into their bowl. And the same to these. The water is boiling. It's not really boiling, it's heating. I can actually see the bubbles through the lid here. So it's getting hotter so that you can actually set it aside in a minute and put it into the Rubbermaid top back behind you. Now I've laid a towel down on my bed as well so that I can place all that in there comfortably, and there's a flat surface of course there. Now that I've done this, you typically want to salt your asparagus so that it brings out some of the flavors, natural flavors what's inside it. So we're going to place a little bit of sea salt in there, and that sit around in there. And I actually place a tiny bit of lemon juice over top of them. It helps bring out the flavor a bit too. Now when we go to saute these, they're going to be sauteed in a what they call Kelly's Gold, or not Kelly, but Kerry Gold Irish butter. It's a creamy butter. It's got a lovely flavour to it. You can pick it up at Walmart. You can get it with or without salt, and it's delicious. It makes things come out so much better than regular butter. Don't ask me what that is. It just, I don't know if it's an Irish thing or what. Okay, we're going to set that one aside as well. So, and tonight with dinner we're actually going to have the asparagus, and then I'm going to make some pasta that is garlic parmesan pasta, elbow noodles is what I'm going to use tonight because that's what I had on board. So we're going to do that. Now with these oyster cooktops, you need to make sure that you have a pot holder with you as well, because it's really it gets really, really hot if you need to move it about. Okay, the water is hot. We're going to pour that into the pocket. Now we're going to set that pot aside, and we're going to bring up our frying pan, place it on here, and I'm going to use, I just had it, here it is. I actually stuck my Kerry's gold butter in here. This is what it looks like. It's a gold container and it looks like this, and you can get it at Walmart. Okay, now we're going to take a knob of it, just a knob, you don't want a whole lot. You're going to take a knob of it and stick it in there so that it actually, that's not quite a knob, that's a quarter of a knob. Okay, this is not working for me. Alright, here we go. Use a fork. Side, and that's about a knob, as you can see. See, it's about a knob of butter. Now you're going to let that go around in the pan and place this back in its container. Now once that gets hot, it's melting down, so once it gets all melted, we're actually going to start putting in a lot of times you want to season your pan before you get going, so we're going to put a little bit of salt in here just to season, not much, because it actually has a little bit of salt itself, but we'll do that. Okay, now I'm actually going to put some minced garlic, as you can see. It stays in a jar, and you put it in the refrigerator, of course, after you open it. If I can get the darn thing open. There we go. Sometimes I'm just not strong enough. Okay, put a tiny little bit, about that much, and put it in there and let it start cooking round. Now you've already seasoned your chicken, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, now I'm going to bring the chicken up. See, that's how it's supposed to look. See, look at that. Right, now you're going to place the chicken in there. Season side down. You're going to shear it on either side so that it cooks the flavour in first. This can be wiped out now. I'm going to use mine and take those. You're going to wipe it out, the Clorox wipe. Cook it and clean as you go. And you place this into the water, rinse it, and place it on the towel. Now, we're going to flip this over because it's sheared on one side. And now we're going to shear it on the other to lock the flavours in. Oh God, it smells so good. Now you're going to turn the burner down to about a medium low and place a lid upon it and allow that to cook. You want to typically cook a chicken breast, depending on its thickness, anywhere from 3.5 minutes to 3.5 minutes, if not 5 minutes each side, depending on the type of frying pan that you use. Which this one here, it cooks a little bit faster because it's a ceramic one. It's healthier for you and it cooks things a little faster. So we're going to let that cook for a bit, watching it, flipping it, because you don't want it to sit on one side too long than the other. So, okay. We'll let that cook for a minute, and those of you that are watching right now, check back here in about, I'd say 7 to 8 minutes, and we'll get going with the chicken side of it and start cooking the pasta and the asparagus. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, I know it's been less than 8 minutes, but hopefully those of you that were watching earlier will pop back in and view this if you don't get a chance to view it now. So I'm actually going to take the raspberry vinaigrette that I actually made at home, and I'm going to lift the lid because I know it's nearly done. There you go, you see that chicken? And to add flavor to the chicken, to do the raspberry thing, I'm actually going to I got my thing stuck in there. I'm going to pour some of my vinaigrette over top of it, if I can get this stupid thing out. There we go. Now, this will actually give it a lot of more flavor. There you go. You see that? Okay. Now, typically when you're cooking meat, not a lot of people realize this, that when you're cooking meat and you set the pan aside, the meat continues to cook, even though it's not on the burner, and also when you place it on the plate as well, it continues to cook. So, because we're going to be cooking other things tonight, we're going to just set this aside with the lid on it onto our talent here. It has a foam inside. It's one of those draining tap pads that you get at Walmart, and it's got a foam in it like your pot holder. I made that, by the way. Okay, now the next thing we're going to make is going to be the pasta. Now that's going to take a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this pan. This is also a New Wave pan. And we're going to take another thing of water. You don't need a lot because you're a truck driver. You're not going to eat a large amount of pasta. So don't need a whole lot. Alright, we're going to put this water in here. Turn this back up onto high. And we're going to add some salt to make the water boil faster. Then I add olive oil to mine so that the noodles do not stick together. So we're going to put a little bit of virgin olive oil in there. Not a lot. Alright, and then of course we can set this aside. This raspberry vinaigrette, by the way, that I make is fabulous. It's so good. Alright, we're going to let that boil. We're going to put the lid on it. And always remember that when you make pesto, you don't, or pasta as you say, you don't want to put it in there cold because it'll make your noodles mushy and not hold their form very well. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put my garlic away. Oh wait, nope, I'm going to leave that for the garlic and parmesan later on. Okay, now that's going to cook up. It doesn't take but about 3 minutes with this thing. It's pretty quick in cooking and oiling, you know, with the water and whatnot. But to keep the vapors out, what I actually do is I roll my window down. And one thing that you can actually do in a Freightliner is, or a vehicle doesn't have as much space as the International Postars have, you can take your cool box, set it in your passenger seat, and place your cutting board on top of that, you know, with a towel under it so it doesn't slide on you. And you can typically cook in your passenger seat with that window rolled down so the vapors actually go out of the window on that side. Now, there's no need to really worry about the vapors because they don't get hot enough to cause any toxic fumes or anything like that. Because I was asked about that and I sort of went, okay, do you really know how hot it would take for that plastic to actually melt to get to that point? Of course, I said that on the inside. I didn't say it on the outside. So I said, you know, that would be something I'd have to investigate. But me being the scientific mind that I am, I knew automatically that that was a bad question to ask, but I answered it the best I could at the moment without making that person feel bad. But I don't have a problem with vapors. The steam, of course, doesn't even get on here, so my hand's not wet. So I have it pulled out far enough so it won't hit the cabinet above. Now, the water is almost to boiling point, so hopefully we'll get to do it here in a minute. This is my first live video, so bear with me. I'm just making sure that everything is okay and still in its place. But you know what, I need to wash these off. Since I did place, I always keep all my utensils clean, and I carry a pair of scissors with me because I like to have, I'm a perfectionist, I like things to be clean and whatnot. Clean that. Now, one thing that I like to do is I always clean as I go. I think it's the chef in me. But like I said, typically all of you have, a lot of you have asked me how hard is it to clean up, and you're watching me as I cook. I'm cleaning. I'm picking things up, and I'm making sure that it's clean as I go. That way, when I get ready to put all the things away back in their cupboards where they belong, everything is in its place. And then I've got a clean bed, and I can get to sleep after I eat, of course. So, alright, the water is slightly boiling, just a little bit, so it tells me it's hot enough. You don't have to have a typically rolling boil. You can actually have it hot enough, because you just don't want to put the pasta in cold water. So, because it's just me, a 1/3 cup of noodles should be just enough. And I'm using elbow noodles. I store them in little bins and whatnot in my cupboard. And I'm going to take a 1/3 cup, that's all you need, and put it in the water. Because they're going to swell, so you know, you don't need a lot of that. So, I'm going to set that aside because I need to rinse it out because it did touch food. And this can be put away in the cupboard. And there we go, one more thing put away and out of the way. Now we're going to put the top back on that, and we can slide this back a little bit. And actually what I want to do is I want to take a look. This here is the garlic. So what you want to do is you want to put some garlic in there too, so that your noodles are flavoring as you go. So my strong arms, I can't get it all. Okay, you don't want a whole lot, because you don't want to overpower the garlic flavoring. Because garlic cloves, minced or fresh, are very stout. I mean, they're very strong, but they have packed with a lot of flavor. Now that I've used this, I can put it away in a cool box. Box, and that's done. Now I'm going to wash off. Still have this from the last one. So I'm going to wipe this out like I've done before. Wipe it out. Put it in your water and rinse it. Now this one is actually dry. Got a little bit of water on it, so we're going to wipe it out. I mean, it's cooking. How hard is it to do work as you're cooking? I mean, you clean as you go, right? Okay. That's dry, and it goes back in its cupboard. Okay, I can actually dry these off, because you don't want your scissor blades to sit in too much water, because they'll rust on you. Even though it's a stainless steel, I really don't think it's stainless steel. And we're going to put that back there. Now, the vinaigrette that I used, I made it with fresh raspberries, and one day I'll actually show you on here how I did it. But I can tell you, I put fresh raspberries into a saucepan and I cooked them down. Then I added mint leaves to it for flavor, along with a little bit of vinaigrette, not vinaigrette, apple cider vinegar and virgin olive oil, along with some raspberry vinaigrette, not vinaigrette, raspberry extract, along with some mint extract, not very much of it, and I put it in there and I cooked it all down, I cooked it out, as we say. and when it was finished cooked down, I put it into my New Wave party mixer, which is a blender, much like you get at home, and you can use it on the 18 meter. It only takes like 400 watts to run it, and you can make your smoothies with it, you can make your juices with it. But when I put it in there, what I did is I put the mixture, so it was all mixed together, and I put it into a sieve, which is a very fine hold strainer. So it's not a colander, because a colander is the holes are too big. A strainer, and they call it a sieve. And I got all the seeds out, because I know there's some of you out there that can't have seeds in their diet. So this way you can enjoy the taste of raspberry vinaigrette with no seeds. So, all right, these are boiling like mad over here. I'm going to slide this. I always, when I have to grab this and slide it forward, I always grab the feet, because the feet are made of rubber. So that way I don't burn my hands while I'm trying to do this. And I'm going to look at this. You're going to stir your pasta. And it typically takes about, to get a nice firm pasta, it really takes about probably 10 minutes, thereabouts, to get a nice firm pasta, because you don't want it too mushy. You want it to have a nice firmness to it. And now you see. Now see with this, I don't know if you can see it from here, but there's actually a little bit of moisture in here. And the reason we put salt in like asparagus and aubergines and, well, eggplants, what you guys call it here in the States, it soaks out the excess water, so that whenever you go to steam it, it's not all wet and soggy whenever you get through cooking it. So it's actually got a little bit of moisture down in there, so we'll be able to dry those off in a minute when we get ready to do them. Doing some more work here as my noodles start to cook. Alright, now these are going to take probably about another 7-8 minutes, so I'll be back with part 3 in a minute. Okay, we're back and our pasta is done. So as you can see, it did not take as long to cook in these New Wave cooktops, New Wave pots and pans. So it's a product in which I stand behind, and it's healthier cooking for you, and it's really good for you to eat from, because it cooks things evenly and a little bit faster. And in the trucking industry, time is of the essence, right? Okay, let's get with the pasta and get it ready for its marinating process in the margarine, or not margarine, butter, garlic and Parmesan cheese. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the water and put it over. You put a strainer over top of a bowl. It doesn't have to be a glass bowl, just one that the strainer will go across. And this again is, as you can see, may be hot, but there's a little bit of stuff in it, and this is how easy ceramic is to clean up. It's a little bit warm, but this will cool it down. Pretty much clean except for that little bit in the bottom, and I'm going to rinse it. And set it aside. Clean. Now, you've got your pasta and the hot water in there. Since you're going to be, you can set this bowl aside, and let me put this into its bowl first. Okay, this is what you're going to get. Pour this into a bowl and set it aside for just a second. And you're going to take this and we're going to set it here so that we don't spill it anywhere. You've got a lid here. That's a bit warm. It's a bit warm. Okay, now the garlic. I'm going to add some garlic salt to this. And I've got it here somewhere. That's ginger. I had it here, I swear. Okay, let's see. There we go. Cheap, easy garlic powder. Just a little bit. Now, you're going to take a little small knob of this butter. And again, for those of you that have not been watching and have just joined us, this is an excellent Kerrygold Irish cream butter. It's really good for to cook with, to bake with. You can make fried bread with. It's really, really good. Okay, so now we're going to take my fork here, and we're going to take another knob of it. Not very much because you don't need a lot of it. It's about a knob. Can you see it? I hope you can. We're going to place it into here and allow that to melt inside there. We're going to place the butter away. We're going to need the butter again in a minute, so we're going to keep it out. Okay. Now we're going to take the pot that we just used, place it back on the burner. We're going to place a knob of this butter, and you can use a lid of any sort and place this on top like that. You use another bowl. Now we're going to take another couple of knobs of butter for the sauteing process of the asparagus. Now you're going to place it into the pan and just roll it around like you did in the frying pan. And you typically don't need a lot of salt because this is already a salted cream butter. So put it back in its container. And we're going to add some sea salt to it. Not a lot, as I said. It's all about portions and it's all about moderation when it comes to cooking things. Okay, now once that melts down, you want to typically have this on a medium to high heat because you're basically searing these and sauteing them in the process. Now, what you want to do is actually take a paper towel because you're soaking out the water, the excess water, so that when you go to steam it, you don't end up with soggy stuff. It's a bit crisp but not soggy. So we're going to pull out some of that sogginess. I mean, not sogginess, the water. Okay. Place this down on your countertop. And actually, no, we're going to do this. Put it in here. And we're going to flip it over onto the countertop. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's probably hard for you to see it, but there's a little bit of water down in the bottom from it. And you'll see the towel here in a second. And you typically just want to sort of, like you would a codfish, you kind of want to soak out the water so that it's nice and tender. Okay. Now, the excess water has been out, and the butter is now melted, so I'm going to put this in there and allow them to saute. You want them to saute and whatnot, and there's a little bit of water, not a lot, but there's some in here. Let me do that. Let's see if this will show up this way. I don't know if you can tell the difference in the colour. You can't, I don't know if you can see all the wetness, the little spots everywhere. It's the water from the asparagus. Okay, now we're going to place a lid on top of the asparagus, but we're also going to add a little bit of lemon juice to it to give it a lemony flavour. Not a lot. Let it start to steam. And typically want to add when you're sauteing or if you're steaming. And at this point you can decide, okay, do I want it steamy or do I want it sauteed a bit with a little bit of searing to it? I think I want steamed. going to put a little bit of water because the heat, oh, it smells so good, because the heat from it actually helps to steam it and cook it better, faster. So we're going to let that steam for a little bit, and you basically want them to be so tender that you can, sort of like a potato, that you can actually stick a fork in them. And when you can stick a fork in them, they're done. So that's that. And what we're doing here, now we're going to, while that's cooking, we can take our pasta that we cook. See, it's just a small portion. It's not very much. And I typically probably have more of that left over because I probably won't eat all that. So we've got the butter in there. Now I'm going to take Parmesan cheese, Kraft's Parmesan, and I'm going to sprinkle it all inside there. Can you see? Just a little bit. Now put this back up, and see, we're still cleaning up. Place it back in our cupboards. Let's put it away. Now you can take this and you're going to stir it around to give it, you know, make sure it covers all the noodles. And you've got that nice garlic flavor to it, and the cheese will melt over top of it, and it'll stick to it better because of the butter that's on it, and the garlic and all that is all in there. So that, and that's why I like to carry gold butter, because it helps things stick to it better. And there you go. Garlic Parmesan pasta. Now we're going to set that aside. It's still nice and warm. We're going to set that on top so it stays cooking. Check on our chicken. Ooh, nice and warm. Oh my god, that smells so good. Oh my god. I wish you were here physically, because you would be in for a treat, because it's an amazing dinner. Almost put a fork into them. I know it's a long drawn out process, but the reward is so rewarding when you get done, because you know that what you're putting into your food, you know that it's healthy for you, and you don't have any processed, you know, antibodies, things put into it. You know what you're cooking with because you are cooking it. And like I said before, I used to weigh 267 pounds, and I started cooking on the road. I started working out on the road, and I made a huge change in my life when it came to that. And it was hard. It was really hard in the beginning, but I did it, and I know that I can do it, so that I know you can do it as well. And there's no excuses, there's no shortcuts, neither results. You know, it didn't get on you overnight, and it's not going to come off overnight, and it's a matter of eating the right portions, eating the right foods, and being out here on the road. It's really hard for you guys and me, of course, because I'm also a professional driver now too. It's hard for us because recently, not until the last few years, they've just started putting in nice, healthy things into the truck stops that we can use and eat and whatnot. But you can't tell me that you cannot get to a Walmart every other day or so, because I do it, and I find a way to do it, even if I have to park around back where they do all of their shipping and receiving. I get out of the way and I go inside and I get the things that I really need. Now, a lot of times I pre-prepare things at home so that I don't have to get so many things, and I put them into cool boxes and things like that, and I make sure that I have the essentials needed. So, knowledge of food chemistry, and it's an excellent key and tool, actually a tool to have, because you can share that with others. And being a chef is one thing that I love doing. I love to cook, But the most important thing is, I'm not out here for myself. I don't do these videos for myself. I do them to help the drivers because I know that if I can do it and become healthier, so can you. Let's check our asparagus. Oh my goodness, it's done. Okay. Look at that asparagus. And they're beautiful and green. So you don't want to overcook it, because if you overcook it, you take out all the nutrients, and it's really not worth eating if you take away the vibrant green color to it, because that green color is the green that's in it is what the nutrients are that help fight cancer and help with the higher alkaline part of the greener vegetables that will help heal certain joints, your knees, your cartilage, because it makes embryonic cells that go to the cartilage to help you. Okay, now it's time to serve this. Okay, now I'm going to turn off the Ulster burner. The only thing about the Ulster that I don't like, that I love about my precision cooktop from New Wave, was that you really have to let it sit and completely cool down, and because it's really hot. So that's where I like to be stopped, and if I'm going to stop for a 30-minute break, I can make a quick, throw together sort of lunch with it, fine. I can let it sit there while I finish eating. But that's what you want to do, because it's extremely hot. I've already burnt myself once, and I'm a chef. Okay. Now, push that bad boy back to the back. And I'm going to put this, ouch, that's hot. Bloody hell, Abigail. Okay. I guess that's payback for all the times I burnt my mentor. I really didn't mean to, I just forgot to leave the pot holder on the end of the pot. Okay, now. And yes, I eat on a proper plate. This is my favourite plates to use, as I do like teddy bears. Okay. Now. Garlic parmesan. Serve this up here. You can see the chef in me when I put things on a plate, can't you? Don't like a messy plate. That's a lot of pasta. Put that in the rinse bucket. Lovely, lovely. You can take the rest of the sauce that's left over and put on top. And as you can see, it's slightly clean. Palette. Wash it out. Clean. Rinse it. Place it to dry. Now this water, we're going to pour it back into the bottle later, whenever I'm done, and that way that you can dispose of them in a more cleaner manner, the way it's not all out on the ground and people don't step in it and track it everywhere. I mean, it's a more respectful way to get rid of your wastewater. That there, and dinner done. You guys enjoy watching, so I hope you see you again next time. Whenever whenever I'm live and cooking again. Enjoy your suppers. Cheers. Okay, I haven't quite eaten yet, of course, but I'm going to show you what I mean about putting the water back at the bottle. I actually poured the pasta noodle water into this, and it's a measuring bucket. Well, you guys would call it a cup, we call it buckets. It has a spout on it, if you can see this. I don't know if you can see the spout or not. And it makes it easier to pour it back into a bottle. So I'm going to take that, and you know, you're probably sitting there going, okay, she fried chicken in that, she grilled chicken in that. How easy is that to clean up? Knowing that that is margarine, not margarine, but butter, along with everything else, I'm going to show you. We're going to take that and go ahead and pour it into here. Then, because it's ceramic, you can actually wipe it clean. Place that into your trash bin. Pull another out. Wipe it again. Because these towelettes, it's Clorox clean stuff. It actually has a bit of soap on it. So as you can see, clean. We're going to rinse it and let it set to dry. Okay, now what you're going to do, you've got all your bottles that you had. There's like 4 or 5 of them I think we had. Place them up here, take the lids off one at a time. You're going to take this water and you're going to pour it into the cup, just enough so you can handle it. And we're going to pour it back into the bowl using the spout. And I can do this over here because I'm experienced. It will not go on my floor. And you just pour it right on back into the bottle. Once you have some weight to it, you can put it on the deal and just start to pour it in there. And you're going to do this with until all the water out of that bin is gone. Okay. Then you're going to place the lid on it and put it into the rubbish bin. You're going to do it again. And like I said, you continue to do this until all of the water is gone. It's a more sanitary way of getting rid of the water than just tossing it out on the lawn, because you know, you could have cooked with something like we did with butter and it's slippery, and you really don't want it on the pavement because somebody could probably slip in a good weather and with the grease, and you don't want to be responsible for somebody hurting themselves because you decided to cook and throw your water out with grease in it. Okay, bottle number 2 down. Okay, and I'm going to take a towelette, wipe this out, and I use a Clorox cleanup wipe because it kills all the germs and things like that. It's more sanitary. Okay, toss that in the bin. Take apart the towelette, wipe it out, and it's ready for the next use. Okay, I'm going to pour the rest of this water into here. Not all of it, it won't all fit, but most of it. And bottle number 3. I think I already threw the other bottle away. This is clean water, by the way. I think this will all fit in there. Let's hope, right? Now I bet all of you are sitting there going, is she going to drop a drop? Is she going to make it all go in? Is she going to miss it? Oops, I missed it. Whoever was betting, they won. Now, you have a bit of bitty bits in the bottom. That is a tiny little bit. Swirl it about. Put it into the rubbish. Place your lid on top. And all 4 bottles in which we use water to put into the bucket, wash bucket, is back in the bottles and able to be disposed of sanitarily. And I don't mean leave them in the parking lot, okay? I mean, let's get real here. Sanitary means in the rubbish bin by the fuel islands or out in the parking lot. I don't want to see any bottles, water bottles with things in them lying in the parking lot, okay? That is disrespectful and makes us good drivers look bad. So, if anybody ever asks me, I'm going to tell them to watch the video because I tell you every time. Dispose of them respectfully, please. Thank you. I'm going to enjoy my dinner, and I hope you enjoyed the last 3 videos and this one to help sort of give you an idea of how easy it is to clean up after yourself while you're cooking, and how easy it is to make healthy meals for you on your 18-wheeler, or as I lovingly call it, the lorry. See you next time. Have a good evening.